Hello, my name is Devyn Wickson. Today we're going to be talking about one of the greatest sports that was ever created, the game of golf. Now, I want to start by saying that I love many sports. Football, basketball, baseball are a couple of my favorites. Baseball has always had my heart, but um, I also took up the game of golf. And there's a few reasons why I took up the game of golf. The first reason is because it is very challenging. Um, it is so challenging that whenever you get it right, it feels amazing. The feeling of hitting a good shot, at least one good shot per round, is enough to keep you coming back through even dozens of horrible shots. I think most golfers understand that challenge, and even some of the best golfers will hit bad shots frequently. So, anyways, let's explain this game real quick. So, golf is played with a golf ball. The golf ball is one of the main focuses of the game. It is made of a hard plastic cover that has dimples on it for aerodynamics, as well as very hard rubber in the center of it. The golf ball is very bouncy. If you've ever held a golf ball and dropped it on the ground, I'm sure it bounced right back up to you. And the golf ball sometimes has a mind of its own. That's why I say it's also a curse. Now, the golf ball always remains stationary during the game of golf whenever you are going to strike it. There are instances in which you can move the golf ball with your hand, but that is typically in order to move it out of an uncommon obstacle. So sometimes there is water that's on the course that is not normally on the course, like from rainfall, and you are allowed to move your golf ball out of that. Or if there's other debris that's on the golf course that is not supposed to be there, you're allowed to. There's basically many instances in which you get relief from different obstacles that you would be allowed to move that golf ball. Man-made obstacles such as bridges and the cart path as well. But sticking with the topic of the golf ball, the golf ball starts on the tee box whenever you are playing the game. The tee box is the start of every single hole. And like I said, the golf ball will remain stationary, and you are the one that hits it. Now, what you hit it with is called golf clubs. So anytime that you are striking the ball towards the hole or out of any area, anytime you make contact with the golf ball, it is supposed to be done with your golf clubs. There are 14 clubs in the bag for regulation standards. Now, if you're playing just as an amateur or practicing, you're allowed to have more golf clubs if you would like to. However, the rules for tournament golf and for if you were going for a course record of some sort, you have 14 clubs in the bag. All of these clubs have different uses, but they can be used at any time. Golf clubs are used to strike the ball in order to get the ball closer to the hole and ultimately into the hole, and you can use the golf clubs at any time. Each club has a specific purpose, like I said, but there's versatility within those clubs. For instance, with wedges. A wedge is a high lofted club. It means that the club is sitting like this. It's open. And what that does is it gets the ball up into the air. So it shoots the ball up into the air. In that way, it can come down onto the green or onto any surface softly and not roll too much. And then you have a driver, which will have much flatter head, and your driver is typically used on the tee box. On the tee box, you're allowed to put a tee into the ground, which will elevate your golf ball off of the ground, and then you can then use your driver to hit that ball up into the air. The driver typically hits the ball the farthest, and that's why you use it on the tee box, because you want to get that ball as close to the hole as possible with each stroke. And so the tee box is always the furthest away from the hole, and that's why you use that. Now, irons and wedges are used after your driver, and typically are used to hit the ball onto the green, which we'll get into it in a little bit, but the green is where the hole is. Now, once you're on the green, you have a putter, which is this, it's a very flat club that typically has I would say a 2-inch surface face that will cover the entire ball, and that is used to hit the ball so that it rolls on the ground. Your putter does not ever really get the ball off of the ground, and you typically use it to put the ball in the hole. It's the last club that you use. The golf course. So golf is played outside on a large amount of land that has manicured grass and unique layouts. There are often natural obstacles on the course, such as water hazards, out of bounds regions, sand, thick tall grass, and trees. Each golf course typically has 18 unique holes, and those holes are separated into 2 sections called the front 9 and the back 9. Now, some golf courses all golf courses are different, basically. There are some golf courses that have 18 holes that are only par 3s. And there are some golf courses that have only 9 holes and they're par 3s, 4s, and 5s. We'll get into what par means here shortly. But basically, par is the fair amount of strokes that it takes to get the ball from the tee box into the hole. And so that is the standard. Now, we'll talk about it later, but often these standards are still very challenging to meet. The scorecard here is where we can really talk about what par means and how golf is really played. So the object of golf, like I said before, is to get the ball from the tee box into the hole in as few strokes as possible. So the lower your score, the better you do. Score is kept by the number of strokes it takes to complete the course. Each hole has a fair score called par, which is deemed the standard number of strokes it takes to get the ball from the tee box into the hole without errors. The collective par of 18 holes is par for the course. 1 under par is a birdie. 1 over par is a bogey. 2 under par is an eagle or a hole-in-one. And 2 over par is a double bogey always. Now, there is a limit to the lowest score that you can get. There's 18 holes, so in theory, the lowest number or the lowest score that you could get is 18. There is unlimited amount of strokes that it could take to finish the course. Now, typically, if you get up to 10 strokes, you could just pick up your ball and we'll consider it done. Now, in competition play, especially in professional competition play, that is not allowed. You have to complete the hole. And if you do not complete the hole, you do not complete the course, you are withdrawn from the tournament. So, to explain this scorecard a little bit, you will see at the very top it says hole, rating/slope, and then it has numbers 1 through 9, and then numbers 10 through 18. And so that explains that we're on hole 1. Now you have gold, blue, combo, white, and red. And those are the different tee boxes. Golf is very inclusive, and so depending on your skill level or your age, you will choose the tee box. So as you can see, these numbers get smaller from gold to red. That number there is the amount of yards that hole has from the tee box to the green, or to the center of the green. And so obviously the longer the hole, the more challenging it is. Now if we look down even further, it says par. Now that is what the course is deemed a fair number of strokes for you to complete that hole. And so on hole 1, we have a 436 yard par 4. And so that means in order for you to a good score on that hole is to score 4. It took me 4 strokes from the tee box to the hole to get the ball into the hole. If a really good score would be 3, because that's a birdie. That means it only took me 3 strokes to get the ball from the tee box into the hole. A bad score would be considered a 5 or more. However, a 5 is not a horrible score, especially for amateurs. For professionals, a 5 is a bad score. And so for each hole that you complete, you mark the number of times it took for you to get the ball from the tee box into the hole, and then you add it all up at the end of each 9 holes. And then you add both of those scores together, and that is your final score. And so you're constantly playing yourself, and you're constantly playing the course, even more than you are playing opponents. Now, the lore behind golf is, truly, it is a challenge. Golf offers many life lessons throughout the game that are not simply explained either. One of those challenges might be, or one of those life lessons rather, is to take your time to think about your shot, think about what you want to do, envision those things and do it. It might be to control your emotions, to slow down, to forgive yourself whenever you do bad, and to not get too high up and feeling too happy whenever you do good, to stay even keel throughout the entire rounds. Golf is very much like our life in that it offers many challenges, and your ultimate opponent is the course and its obstacles as well as yourself. Golf is considered a mental game, although it is performed physically. No one ever truly masters the game of golf, although we have seen greatness throughout the history of the sports. The game will give and it will take. Oftentimes, we are deserving of neither. And what I mean by that is sometimes you hit a really good shot and it doesn't end up in the place that you want it to go. Sometimes you hit a really bad shot and it ends up in the place that it needs to be. And so that is a game of golf, really. Anybody can play this game. It is very inclusive unless, for extreme circumstances where you might not have at least one arm to play the game. However, there have been double amputees in the legs as well as missing one arm be able to play this game. It's inclusive for all ages as well, from children as young as 3 or 4 years old to adults that are in their 80s and 90s. One of my goals in life is to be able to shoot my age. And so, hopefully at the age of 70, I'm able to complete a par 72 or a par 70 course in 70 strokes. Anyways, that is the game of golf. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope that explained a lot of questions that you might have about golf, and maybe we'll see you on the course one day. Have a good one.